Do you believe in manifestation?
Well, I would assume he's talking about like the law of attraction. The big thing with the law of attraction is that you got to know what you want, you got to know why you want it, and you got to have emotion compelling reasons why you want it. But at the end of the day, you still got to take action. As the Buddha said, faith without action is meaningless. So as you move towards the things that you want, the universe kind of aligns to help you. It sends you people, it sends you resources,
Mhm.
it sends you circumstances to help you create the things that it is that you want, that you're pursuing. And so when that's happening, when you're kind of in the flow, then it does kind of seem like things magically are happening, but it's happening because you're moving through the world with purpose, with vision, with passion, with energy. And where intention goes, energy flows. And so the universe will conspire with you to help make synchronistic type of events happen. But if you just sit on the couch meditating for a BMW to show up in your driveway, or Miss America to come kick your front door in and tell you that she wants to marry you and live happily ever after and help repopulate the earth, that's probably not going to happen.
Very true. You have to take the first step.
Got to take action. As Panache Desai said, life happens when you move, stagnation happens when you die. If you look at everything in nature, anything that stops growing, it dies. It gets eliminated. Bodies in motion tend to stay in motion. Bodies at rest tend to stay at rest. That's basic physics. So if you want things to come to you, law of attraction or manifestation, you got to move towards the things you want, expecting that it's going to work out in your favor. But it's your action and your persistence that eventually gets you through any barriers or things and challenges that are inevitably going to come your way.
I agree.
I noticed that a lot when I was like younger. Excuse me. I'd be like waiting tables or something. I'm like, okay, I really need to make this much money today because rent's due. I got some bills due. I really need to do it. And at the end of the day,
And
I'm
you
like,
liked working just hard enough to get enough to pay your bills, but not anymore to have a little cushion in the bank.
and I'll just be like, okay. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, oh wow, I exceeded it. And I was just like, I feel like when you need something or want something and you try hard for it and like you're like positive about it, it just seems to come. Whereas if you're like you said, if you're sitting there and you're just negative, oh, I'm not gonna get this, or I'm not gonna. It's like you're putting negative thoughts, so you're not gonna get it. And it's just, I feel like if you like put that out there, it's like, oh, I'm not gonna get that job, or if you're like, I'm gonna get it. I worked hard for it. I'm gonna get it, and then you end up getting it. I feel like that's kind of like a manifest of staying
Well, it's like
positive about
if you're
things.
suffering from depression, what are you basically doing? You're focusing on all the things that probably won't go
Right.
right or everything that's going wrong, and you just ruminate constantly on your problems. Whereas you still have the problems, but if you're proactive and you take action and you move in a direction towards the things that you want to make things happen, again, people, places, events, circumstances will just come your way, and you won't really understand at the time. It's just like what Steve Jobs talked about. It's not until maybe 10, 15 years in the future when you look back in your life and you can kind of see all the synchronicities and key people and key events that just seem to show up right at the right time to give you that next step in your evolution.
Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of TikToks about girls or even guys saying, like if you want to become a millionaire or something, you have to have like a mindset of a millionaire and not settle for things.
It's like we talked about making money in Mastering Yourself episode a few weeks ago. Making money is 80% psychology, 20% mechanics. And so you have to first believe you're capable of it, or at the very least, it's a possibility that you'll succeed and you'll become wealthy. Because if you're convinced yourself that it's not possible, then whether it's a job opportunity or a career path or a business opportunity, you'll just dismiss it because you've already decided ahead of time there's no way that could work out for you. And when they look at people that are really successful and really rich, it's not, they're not 100% of them are like super smart. Some of them are just too stupid to know that they're not smart. And so therefore they're persistent and they come up with an idea and they just, by just sheer force of will and taking action and time and repetition and being disciplined, they eventually make amazing things happen.
It's also like some people that've been dealt like a hard card in their life. They, come from a bad family, didn't have much or something like that. When they stay positive and focus on their goals and their values and their success, they do better. They always say that kids that like come from bad homes, poor families, don't do as well. But I mean, even if you're poor, I mean, I've seen a lot of kids from those kind of situations. They're like the first person in their family to go to college. My sister was the first person in like my adopted family to go to
You know why
college.
that is?
I don't, well,
It's because they decide I've
I'm not
had
living
enough of this
this.
shit. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna be like my family. I'm not gonna turn out like that. And they resolve to do whatever it takes to make the things they want happen
Yeah.
because of the pain that they experienced and where they came from. It's like people, when you look at most millionaires and billionaires, most of them, the overwhelming majority, are self-made. And when you look at what happens when those billionaires that are self-made make it, what happens to their kids and their grandkids and their great-grandkids? And I saw a stat. I can't remember the numbers because it's probably about a month ago when I first saw it, but it was saying something like the second take the first generation as the guy that makes it. The second generation, his kids basically, I think it's like 60 to 70% of them still have the money. 30 to 40% of them have pissed it away within the first generation. And then when you go to the second generation, it's something like 25-30% still have the money. And so usually within 3 to 4 generations, all the wealth is just totally gone and wiped out. The families were not able to pass on the skills and the generational wealth. And the other thing is that as the family gets bigger, there's more and more people sucking on the capital that the trust has. And it was never, when it was first instituted, it didn't have enough capital to support that many people.
Yeah.
You look at the famous example, the Vanderbilts. It's like Anderson Cooper is like kind of the last in the line of Vanderbilts, and his mother was, I think when she died, she only had a couple $100,000 to her name. The Vanderbilts, a century ago, were like one of the wealthiest families in world history.
Mm-hmm.
But the family grew, it got bigger, and everybody was living off of the trust, and the money didn't get managed right, and they had these elaborate parties and big mansions, and they basically, over successive generations, just completely pissed away the nest egg.